Welcome to Be the Change. What the average American thinks when they hear the word acceptance is approval. That to accept is to approve of or agree with a condition. There are limited circumstances where this might be true. Examples where the two might be synonymous are acceptance of the terms of a negotiated contract, or a job offer, or a marriage proposal. We do seem to use approval as a synonym when we have direct agency in the circumstances. We also have that in mind when we accept a condition that fits with our worldview, even when we don't have agency, such as a Best Picture winner if we agree that the film was great. Approval is such a common understanding that the dictionaries have made it a tacit part of the first definition of acceptance. Remember, though, dictionaries are not prescriptive. They list language as it is being used rather than how it should be used. This is not the way I'm using acceptance in this video. I think it is a serious error to confuse acceptance with approval. Look around the political landscape across the world, and it is obvious the problems that can arise when the two ideas are conflated. Approval strongly suggests agreement, often strong agreement. For instance, I approve the structure of the US federal government. I do not agree with many of the bits and pieces that have been added to the executive branch. I strongly disapprove of the concept of political parties and the deceptions that fuel them. With all that said, I would much rather use the word acceptance. I accept political parties and the existence of the Department of Education. That example should give you the distinction to show the difference between acceptance and approval. Also, that agreement is not needed for either concept. For the rest of this video, I'm going to talk about acceptance as a condition each holds in relation to others, rather than opinions about things such as governments, institutions, organizations, and the like. We each have a personal set of ethics and morality. Mostly these align with our society's ethics and morality. No surprise there. We generally hold the beliefs of the place where we grew up. Sometimes we break free of those cultural conversations, but mostly not. When we disagree with the behavior or attitudes of another person, we tend to label their actions and attitudes as unacceptable. We do this even when their actions have no impact on our lives. The religious generally cannot accept the actions of a non-believer if those actions violate their religious prescriptions. One argument of this type, that is still alive and well, is about same-sex marriage. Person A thinks it's against the laws of God and therefore should be prohibited for everyone. It is such a sin that one jeopardizes one's immortal soul for commercially baking a wedding cake or for issuing a marriage license. One of the arguments heard a few years ago was that it would damage heterosexual marriage. I never did hear anyone adequately explain that one. Where there is disapproval, there is generally no acceptance. But that isn't what acceptance used to mean, and confusing acceptance with approval has all but washed away the necessary distinction. When I use acceptance, I mean acknowledging what is so in reality. I don't have to agree with reality, but I see no benefit in pretending it is different from what it is. Further, I also mean acknowledging another's personal reality. I can accept a person as they are and as they are not. So I have acceptance that some people are religious. I acknowledge that some people think the earth is flat. It is their reality. I don't approve or agree. So what? My agreement and approval are not required. It is simply so. In the common grand reality, they exist. Another place where the difference stands in stark relief is in interpersonal relations. Most people want acceptance, and most people give approval. Think about that for a few minutes. Pause the video and find one circumstance from your life where it is obviously true. I'll wait. Welcome back. Hope you found at least one. All one has to do is remember being a teenager with one or more opinions that differed from the rents. Young people still saying that? Or be LGBT in a fundamentalist house, or be a Christian in an atheist household, or be a girl when a boy was wanted. All the ways a child cannot see acceptance from their family. Even while the parents are professing love, they may simply be loving the child they wanted rather than the one they have. Some people are shocked when the mother of a convicted mass murderer can claim they love the child. Some folks simply cannot understand it. Even Christians who grew up on Cast the First Stone stories can't understand how someone could choose to not cast the first stone. We label some things as evil so that we can label some people as evil, so we can punish them in the name of some objective righteousness. The conflating of acceptance and approval, though, is not a religious issue. Sometimes it seems so, but it is simply the nature of Homo sapiens. We don't trust a difference, and if the difference is big enough, we see it as a threat to life. We start with disapproval, then gathering a following, then naming a thing unacceptable, then punishing the transgressor. And it doesn't matter one bit if there were not even a single directly harmed victim. We fooled ourselves into believing that someone with differing opinions does not deserve acceptance. But overall, acceptance hurts the one refusing to grant. It is something like forgiveness. Very often, not being able to forgive damages one way more than the original transgressor. Acceptance and forgiveness are both aspects of our mental health. Just as acceptance doesn't mean approval, forgiveness does not mean condoning the transgression. How does failing to accept what is so get in our way? Another place to pause the video and consider your own life. I'll wait. There are plenty of examples where fighting with reality is a waste of time, energy, and happiness. Circumstances not to your liking does not make the circumstance go away. Spending any time wishing you or others had made different decisions is a huge waste of time. Placing blame for where you find yourself today will not have a positive effect on tomorrow. If you didn't find a dozen or more, you might want to look again, but I'm moving on. Acceptance gives you a place to stand in relation to others. This is not a hill to defend or a pulpit from which to preach. It is not a position from which to rain down judgment. In fact, the place to stand has nothing to do with you at all and everything to do with your interlocutor. Seeing the world from their reality, speaking an emotional language they understand. It is a position of empathy. There is nothing to fix. You don't have to agree with a single position they hold. Now, though, you can talk about the positions rather than arguing ad hominem. Practice acceptance. As you get better and quicker at recognizing what is so, you can direct the course of your life with way more peace, love, and joy.